instantly staking a claim on the d5 square and preparing an English opening setup. Opening up a diagonal for the bishop and preparing a solid pawn structure. This choice signals a flexible approach. Developing a knight towards the center. White prepares for kingside castling and contests central space without immediately committing. Pawns. Challenging the center immediately opens lines and asks white for concrete decisions. Asserting central control. This pawn advance directly contests black's ambitions and opens the queen's diagonal. Developing the knight to a central square prepares for castling and contests the d4 pawn's advance. Shaping the kingside pawn structure now. Preparing to fianchetto the bishop. Aiming for a resilient setup against black's central influence. Developing the bishop to its most natural square. The piece now eyes the kingside and prepares for kingside castling. A crucial step in securing the monarch's safety. The bishop now finds a potent diagonal, preparing to castle and join the queenside pressure. Securing the monarch in the Catalan's embrace initiates a phase of patient development. Preparing for the central skirmish. Securing the monarch with castling is a paramount defensive maneuver. Solidifying the king's position and preparing for central action. Unfurling the queenside. Black prepares to fianchetto the bishop to a more active diagonal, potentially challenging white's central grip and creating dynamic counterplay. Solidifying the center and preparing for kingside expansion. This knight immediately exerts pressure on the queenside structure. Developing the bishop to this diagonal opens lines of attack and supports the central pawn. Structure. Rerouting the knight to a centralized outpost promises increased influence and potential threats against black's uncastled monarch. Preparing the queen for active participation on the queenside. Potentially eyeing the now weakened light squares after white's knight advanced. Sacrificing the central pawn clears the way for immediate king's side pressure. A daring recapture. Embracing the open center while inviting potential tactical skirmishes across the board. Exchanging knights clears the d-file. Opening lines for potential queenside pressure and simplifying into a more open middle game. Reclaiming the pawn with the bishop now re-establishes central control and prepares to contest the d-file. Unleashing a pawn wedge into the center. White immediately contests central space and aims to restrict black's knight. That bishop now finds a vital outpost, bolstering the central pawn structure and eyeing that weak e4 square. Unlocking the central squares. White now aims to exploit the open c-file for pressure against black's queenside. Seizing central space. Black aggressively challenges white's pawn chain and opens lines for active piece play. Opening the d-file for the rook creates immediate pressure on black's queenside pawn structure. Reasserting control over the d-file and preparing to challenge white's central pawn. Exposing black's king a bit by eyeing the weakened kingside diagonal. Seeking to stabilize the d5 outpost and prepare for eventual central advances. This reassures the pawn structure and supports the knight's central presence. Freeing the bishop for active play. This maneuver aims to disrupt black's central grip and exploit potential weaknesses along the light squares. Strategically repositioning the bishop to contest the vital light squares and enhance peace. Coordination is a sound defensive maneuver. Boldly sacrificing a knight, white aims to shatter black's pawn shield and expose the vulnerable king before it can shelter. Unleashing the king offers immediate counterplay, disrupting white's queenside initiative and opening lines for counterattack. Unleashing a stunning tactical blow. This sacrifice rips open black's king defenses, creating immediate and overwhelming threats. Relinquishing the central files to the opponent's queen signals a desperate attempt to consolidate. After a rash attack, prying open the kingside further. This pawn thrust intensifies the pressure. threatening to dislodge the Black King from its precarious shelter. Sacrificing the bishop to solidify the central pawn and open lines for counterplay feels like a desperate attempt to escape the mounting pressure on the kingside. Unleashing the queen. White pierces the weakened kingside, creating immediate pressure on the exposed royal. Reclaiming the pawn. Black aims to disrupt white's dangerously advanced queen and consolidate their precarious central pawn structure. Chasing the Black King across the board. This aggressive foray into enemy territory opens lines and forces awkward king repositioning. This move, *Kate8, tragically abandons any hope of king safety, opening the floodgates for white's decisive attack. Unleashing a powerful discovered attack. White aims to dismantle black's flimsy king defense through unleashed diagonal threats and open lines. This tentative retreat allows white to solidify their central pawn and gain an overwhelming initiative, sacrificing development for a decisive attack. Shifting focus to the weakened kingside. This move aims to exploit black's scattered pieces and open lines for a swift attack. A bold thrust, aiming to dislodge the queen's defenders and seize initiative on the open files. Unleashing a devastating discovered check. The queen penetrates the enemy's weakened central defense, forcing further concessions as the Black King scrambles.